Hello everyone, welcome back to Iloilo Primagalaw Official. Today, let me share with you one very significant thing in our everyday life. And this would be the social problems that we experience in our lives. And my sharing with you today is in the context of education, leading towards the specific element of it, which is the school. The social problems in schools exist because of so many intervening factors that may cause dysfunction or destruction in any of the subsystems in the social system. These social problems are part of our human existence, and that we believe that all societies do really have social problems, especially in schools, where it involves a lot of people coming from the various walks of life. Like there are administrators, there are faculty members, there would be staff, there would be maintenance, there would be parents, students, and of course the community around it. The dimension of these social problems over the years have been the subject of sociological research and scientific investigations to look into the underlying causes of human conditions and miseries considered destructive to society and virtually repugnant to moral standard and good taste. Now, we may ask ourselves, where are these problems coming from? Number one, it may come from the discrepancy between the social standards and social reality. Now, there is a very large gap between what is expected of us and from what is happening around us. So definitely, if we will not be able to bridge the gap, the social problem may arise. Another thing is that it constitutes crimes and family disorganization. This is really very true because at some point we consider the family as the basic unit of the society. And thus, if the family becomes dysfunctional, social problems may arise. Like for example, if the children could not accept the separation of their parents, they will naturally do things that will contribute to the negative aspect of the society just to get the certain attention. So these children may lead into certain obstructions like crimes, like rape, like kidnapping, terrorism, and many other related cases just to get that attention from the society. Because these children are really coming from the disturbed and disorganized families. I am not saying here that kids that would come from dysfunctional families may always lead into that. I am just stating that there might be a tendency for these children to do that. I was able to read in a newspaper a kid asking, the world, like, can you, the young like myself, change this world? He said, outright as expected, your spontaneous answer will be a thunderous no. He said, yes, the world today is in such a frightening state of chaos, uncertainty, insecurity, and in a total disarray. The past phase of the moral decadence and the value deterioration has become uncontrollable. There is a wanton disregard of the value of life and property of the people. Fear of God. The priceless value of our forebears has just been disregarded. You can hear and see brothers and brothers, sisters and sisters, brothers and sisters killing each other. Wars among nations, religious war, ideological war, civil war have sprouted in various corners of the earth. But he said, but my dear brothers and sisters, our time is not yet late. Our hope is not yet lost. We have to begin at this very moment where we now stand. What are the educational implications of crime? Number one, resort to all possible means to make the students strongly develop the sense of belongingness in the school setting. What is really very important here is that the teacher should always stress the significance of camaraderie, of friendship, and of acceptance. And that if there are new students inside the classroom, the teacher should know how to provide activities for, the students to get to know each other deeply and for them to get along well together. And with that, we will expect that the classroom will really have close relationships between students. Number two, remind the students of the bad elements in the society and that the dangers associated with relating with such elements or even emulating them. The teacher should always try to provide an information that there might be, negative influences around them or in the society, and that the teacher should know how to let the students identify good from bad, right from wrong. Okay? Number 3, it is always right and good for the teacher to maintain a personality profile of each student. What is really very important for the teacher is to know their students deeply, know their family backgrounds, know their personalities as well, because if you know them, you will be able to trace every history of their behavior. So what is truly important here is to come up with a record of what and who are your students. Number 4, impress upon the students the values of honesty and integrity. You can always have this through dramatization or role playing, or inculcating really the importance of this by setting good examples, okay, by explaining to them the positive effects of being honest and having integrity. Then take extra precaution labeling the students, particularly those who present problems in behavior. So do not ever label students. Like, for example, do not tell them that you are not good enough, that you are not being accepted in the society, because such negative notions will be brought into their minds and will be carried on through their lives forever. Then, see to it that the school rules and regulations are strictly and justly applied to every student, no matter what his status in life is. We have to be equal to everyone, and that whatever the rules and regulations inside the classroom or inside the school has to be respected by anyone, be it a student coming from a rich family or a student coming from a poor family. There has to be an equal understanding of those laws, and regulations inside the school. Next is identify and clarify the value of responsibility and accountability, whether the thing is question is personal, private, or public property. What is really related to being responsible here is respect. Okay? I believe then that a teacher should also stress that relationship, that when you get to be responsible, you will also get that certain respect, be it your personal relationships with the other students inside the school, be it also the properties of the school, or be it from other private people. Number 8, inculcate among the students the security of marriage and the family, which is the indispensable role played by the family and in the nation building. As what I've said earlier, that the family is the basic unit of society, and that whatever the family has taught to the child will definitely be carried into his life forever. So the school or the teacher should work hand in hand together with the parents to be able to teach the child, the right behavior and right conduct, and all the things that will matter to the child on how to live a life in a very positive manner. Okay? And train the students to be alert at all times as to their respective rights and duties as citizens of the country. We have the rights of the child, so it is always good for the teacher to present it to them so that the kids or the students will be able to be aware of their rights and privileges in the society. What are the educational implications of human rights violations? First, think of possible ways and means by which to incorporate the teaching of human rights in the various academic disciplines. The teacher here should be able to provide examples and should let the students be aware of their human rights, not only as children but also as students. Second, be updated on the human rights situations, especially in the Philippine scenario. The teacher here should always have to be familiar of the current events and of what's happening around them, so that she or he could provide that as an example to her students so that the students will also be aware of what's happening around them. Number 3, research on the various methodologies for the teaching of human rights, but first include as part of such the recognition of the rights of the students. You know what is really very important is for the teacher to enumerate the rights of the students so that again, they will have to be very familiar of their rights. Then, be vigilant or be watchful about the incidents taking place in the school environment that appear to suppress human rights. What is really very common now in schools is bullying. So I believe the teacher or the school administration should have to, provide posters around the school to avoid such incident to happen inside. Next, pool school resources together and plan courses of action geared towards the upholding of human rights in the school setting. The administration can, gather together people and create a committee that will, in a way, talk about the rights of the students, the rights of the faculty, and even the rights also of the other people inside the school campus. Participate in the celebration of Human Rights Week in coordination with the Commission on Human Rights. I believe the school has to work together not only with the church but also with the local government units. Usually what is happening is the local government units gets to invite the school in their activities, be it social, it could also be some outreach programs, and the school, of course, should participate, most especially if it's related to human rights violations or topics. For school authorities, take the lead in the dissemination of information regarding human rights and the various obstacles to the full implementation of human rights. So the committee, with such members like administrators, faculty, parents, and students, should get involved in the promotion of these human rights among students. Now, we have to say here that child abuse is the act of deliberately inflicting or causing physical injuries upon a child or unreasonably depriving him of basic needs for survival like food, shelter, or a combination of both. Now, may we ask, what are the educational implications of child abuse? First, be on guard at all times and be alert to identify if anyone of your students is a victim of child abuse. It is always great for a teacher to spend time with his or her students to be able to know their personal struggles, their family problems, or their concerns, because your help might transform their own lives. Next, report cases of child abuse at once. If in case like you get to share, moments with your students and they get to share their problems, and one of these problems could be, child abuse, you get to report immediately to the guidance office or to the administration so that such violence will stop in their homes. Third, teach the students that they themselves must be vigilant about the issue and that they must be aware of their rights as students and as individuals. Impress on the students the crucial role played by the family in the molding of the individual's personality. At times when your students do have problems, it can also be good for the teacher to visit the homes of their students, for these teachers to be able to talk to their parents. The involvement in the transformation of the child would always have to be the school and the family. And these two will work hand in hand together for the development and for the growth of the child and the learner. Then, make the students realize the importance of planning for the future and working for the realization of their plans. As a teacher, don't you think it is also good to be part of your learners' dreams? They get to share with you everything, and being part of that dream would mean a lot. Not only, again, in the development of that child, but, they get to remember you then after. Identify and clarify the values of your students pertaining to the exercise of power and equality of relationship between men and women. You know, the point wherein we can reach this goal is for us to talk about it inside our classroom by incorporating the topics of equality and power, or even with the equality of men and women in our own subjects, whatever it may be. Next is to instill in their minds the value of respect for other people, no matter what their position in life. So it is not about how rich you are or how poor you are. This is all about, again, equality, that we get to respect people. We may ask, what are the reasons why people become drug abusers? First is sociocultural deprivation, like for example, rejection, inadequate stimulation and communication, and other deficiencies in the family setting. You know, when the family is problematic, when the family relationships are not healthy, a member of the family, may always grab the chance to find a new group. And what if, for example, that group will not be able to provide a positive influence towards that member of the family? So thereby, it will create something really very negative. Then, faulty modeling and learning. Faulty parent and child interaction has been studied as the origin of children who are poorly equipped for adult responsibilities. There are those children who are growing up irresponsibly. Okay? They're carrying a lot of irresponsibilities, and this is traced down to such a faulty relationship between parents and children. So hopefully then, parents get to guide their children in their responsibilities for them to grow into a world of respect, of dignity, and really of responsibility. Pathogenic family patterns. Family environment filled with tension is not conducive to making a child feel secure and contented. Again, when the family is always having a lot of tension, are in a way creating all the negativities in the world, it will create something negative for the child. So if the child could not stand, that relationship, the child has to find a way to go out and find his or her own group. Okay? And what if, for example, that group will be providing him or her with something that is not good? So peer pressure, peer influence would also be another factor. Identity crisis. A pattern of drug abuse can be traced to an individual who has rejected or has never found his real identity. So confusion at certain times may also provide something really very negative to the individual, and thus if he could not understand himself, he has to find a way to find people who will help him understand who he is and what he is as a person. Cultural correlates. Cultural pressures such as environment, stress, and confusions play a role in influencing the individuals to use drugs. Again, as what I've mentioned earlier, peer pressure could also be one of the main points to consider in cases of drug addiction. Peer group association and release of inhibition. Peer group influences an individual's attitude towards drug use. The desire of people to diminish their shyness likewise makes them resort to drugs. As teachers, may we provide a beautiful place for our students to find meaning into their lives, where there is love, acceptance, and hope. As teachers, we shall continue to fulfill our promise to do the best that we can for our learners, our children, our future leaders, the hope of our dreams. Thank you, and God bless everyone.